What's going on, good people? Welcome back to another episode of Wayne Presents, sponsored by Promarketize. Don't just advertise, Promarketize. I'm your host, B Wayne, and I'm here today with Jay. What's up, Jay?
Hi,
How are you, young lady?
I am fabulous. The sun is shining, the weather is warm, and this girl's getting ready to go poolside and get some sunshine because, you have to.
Are you able to because I noticed some people are able to tan and then some people kind of just get a little
They
red-ish. Are you
go
able
albino to tomato.
Right. Are you able to how does that work for you? Are you able to just kind of get to my complexion or what? How does it work
Oh,
for
to
you?
get to you, that would take some effort. Uh,
Okay.
my dad is a dark German, so I can go outside and tan within a few minutes. But my mom is half Scottish, so she's a fair-skinned redhead, and I
Okay.
I do have to be careful. I'll tan pretty quickly, but I'll burn pretty quick too. So it's
So it's
interesting.
like both sides of the spectrum, right?
Yep, DNA is awesome.
How is DNA is awesome. How is life in San Antonio? I've heard a lot of great things about Texas. What's San Antonio like?
San Antonio is great. When I first moved to Texas, I lived in South Padre Island. That's where my house is.
Uh,
But divorce being what it is, I'm selling my house in South Padre, sad panda, and just started looking at the job market. And it was either San Antonio or Austin. And I took the first job that I got, landed in San Antonio. Don't regret it at all. The Riverwalk is right here. There's so much to do. There's a couple fantastic piano bars downtown. There's just a lot. There's the restaurants. I mean, there's Mexican food, there's Greek, there's an amazing Italian restaurant down the street from me. A lot of it's within walking distance. It's not as dog friendly, which you can see my nugget right there.
is that a German Shepherd?
No, he's a
What is that?
I won't walk over there and make everybody dizzy. He's a Great Dane English Mastiff. So he's a hundred
Okay.
and some odd pounds.
Okay.
With basically an English Mastiff's body and a Great Dane's head and personality.
Okay.
So he has the sensitive Dane stomach, but both of the giant breeds are leaners. So when he wants attention, he'll walk up to me and he leans against my legs, and I have to, brace myself against something because he puts his entire weight against me and just wanting to cuddle. He thinks he's a lap dog.
How
Um,
old is he?
he is 4.
Is he gonna get bigger or is that about when is he done growing?
He's done growing.
Okay.
So English Mastiffs, I've been told by owners of the pure breed, they take about 3 years to
Okay.
fully mature, and he did. So he's full grown now, runs a little over 100 pounds. He's the biggest marshmallow, but he's got a protective streak. I mean, so one downside is so close to Mexico and a lot of the border issues, and I've experienced a couple of dicey situations. Obviously, I'm a small blonde woman living alone down here, and I've had a couple of experiences, and one, a man actually tried to forcefully enter my home. Um, and yeah, I just walked home from the gym and he talked to me. He'd been asking me out for a long time, and I was really fresh in my divorce. And I said, I'm not interested. No, thank you. And I tried to be very nice about it. And he followed me home, my apartment complex, and he put his hand on the door and put his foot in the door. And of course, Hank wasn't having any of that. He came right up alongside of me and was, barking and lunging at him. And I said, dude, you need to go because if he lunges, I can't stop him. I don't have him on a leash. And of course, I got I'm telling management, you have an aggressive dog. Your dog tried to bite me. And I thought, Okay. Go tell management. Please tell them that you tried to forcefully enter my home after I told you no repeatedly.
And
Um,
your dog protected you like he was supposed to.
yeah, yeah,
Wow.
he did. I have anxiety and he picks up on my anxiety and he'll actually come up to me and he'll alert me and say, Mom, you need to sit down and just snuggle with me for a minute. And my heart rate spiked and I was terrified and Hank just reacted to what the danger was. And I have no doubt in my mind, my dog saved my life. Um, and I had somebody try to break into my house about 2 o'clock in the morning. And it was before I had him. And fortunately, I'm a carrier. So I have a
I was gonna ask. I was gonna
yep,
ask you that question. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay.
yep.
Good.
My concealed carry is a 45.
My goodness, woman.
I carry
Jeez.
a big one and I keep a 40 next to the bed.
Good.
Keep a rifle close by. My pig hunting gun when I go wild pig hunting is a 300 blackout. It's on the side of the bed. So I always say that I'm armed with three things at all times. Armed with my wit 100% of the time, something pointy most of the time, and some type of firearm the other. Um, so I answered the door with a 40 and they decided not to try.
Yeah.
So yeah, so being a small blonde woman living by yourself, it's a challenge these days.
I recommend it on several occasions to pretty much all the single women I know at one point or another. Pretty much any single woman I've ever met that's
Mm-hmm.
known me for any amount of time, women on social media. To you ladies right now, anybody watching, go get a firearm, get some
Yep,
firearms training if you live alone.
yep.
If you're a single mom, go get a weapon. And I
Mm-hmm.
don't care. I don't want to hear about doesn't scare me. Well, what would scare you more, a gun or somebody trying to get you
Right.
at 2 in the morning? Right? Go get a some training. Go get a firearm.
Yes.
They're super easy to use. She's a small blonde woman, like she keeps saying, and she can handle a firearm. You can too.
Yep.
Right? Right? We're in
Well,
agreement.
and absolutely, totally agree. My perspective is I go to the range and I train. Make sure that you know how to handle your firearm, that you can handle a 40 and a 45 is a big firearm. I found two weapons that I can wield successfully and accurately. On the same thing, when I had somebody try to break into my house, people kept saying, well, what did the police say? I said, I didn't call the police. It was 2 o'clock in the morning. I had 4 hours of sleep that I was going to get. If I call the police, how long is it going to take for them to respond? And that's the biggest thing. If you're armed, you respond immediately. If you have to wait for the police, it could be 15, 20, 30 minutes before they get there.
They'll
And
just
what can happen in
they'll come
that
and
time?
collect the body.
Yes,
They'll
you're
be
a
coming to
victim
collect the body. Yeah,
at that
exactly.
point. And
Yep.
I refuse to be a victim. If I'm
Good,
going down swinging.
good. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend using what she has, ladies. That's a big girl. Those are
It's a
big
big girl
girl
problem.
firearms. Get you a 38, get you a 9 millimeter. Start out with a nine. Get you a
308.
Glock 9 millimeter.
Mhm.
That'll be fine. You want to graduate later on to her level, that's
Yeah.
fine. You don't want to start out with what she's using. You start out
I
with a
started. I sorry, interrupt. I started with a 308.
I wouldn't recommend that.
Little.
That's because of that right. That right. That but that's and you're from you're kind of you got country roots, right?
Yep.
Midwestern. You said northern, but I
Yep.
guess when most of us think of Nebraska, I think Midwest, right? Or am I
Yes.
just okay?
Yep.
So
Yep.
kind of country, right? A little
Hmm.
bit. Okay. All right. So
Yep.
you're a country girl. You got that in your blood.
Yep. Been
All
wearing
right.
boots for a long time.
All right. So moral of the story, protect yourself, defend your home, get a firearm.
Yes.
They're good for you.
Yes.
Um, all right, Jay, let's talk a little bit about you. Aside from we know you like weapons, and you're a small blonde
Yes.
woman,
Yep.
and you have a handsome dog that's going to be pretty big, and guys don't mess with her because she's got guns and she's got a big old dog.
Yes. Big ass
What do
dog.
you? what do you like to do? What are you passionate about? What do you do in your spare time for fun? What are some of your interests?
Oh gosh. Well, another thing that I recommend women do is weight training, and that's probably one of my biggest hobbies. Girls with guns, but you should have uh, more than
Sun's out,
one
guns
gun.
out.
Yes, absolutely. So, I'm a weight trainer. I love working out. Like we were talking before, I lost 95 pounds 8 years ago. God, 8 years ago. And I keep it off diet and exercise, eat lots of fruits and vegetables, lean. I've been bulking over the winter, so now I'm in the process of leaning back down. Um, but hitting the gym, it's great for your bone density, overall health, mental and physical. Um, I'm a gym junkie. It's an addiction, and there's something about feeling confident, physically powerful, I guess, knowing that, um, well, in some of the Facebook forums that I know you're familiar with, most people look at me and they think bimbo Barbie. Small blonde woman, physically fit, really tiny. I go for more barbell Barbie. I push 627 pounds on a hip sled. I push heavy.
Impressive.
Thank
I
you. Yeah,
see. Wow.
yeah. So it's I don't want to look small. I don't want to look skinny. I want to look like I can kick your ass. So that's my goal, but I love weight training. It's been like I said, as much of a mental health boost as it is physical. Not just having, the muscle definition, but you get in the gym and you look at your body and you're looking at this weight, that's these plates that are stacked on top of each other, and you're like, holy shit, I can do this. I'm doing this. And it just puts you in that mindset that, you go from maybe feeling a little depressed and kind of out of sorts to feeling, I'm a badass. I'm good. I'm inside my head. Earbuds in, you're rocking out. It's a little mini dance party in between sets, because I give people a show when I'm at the gym, because I break out and dance periodically, but um love to work out. And I walk my dog and just hang out with my friends, do a lot here in San Antonio, but I we were talking before, I recently rejoined the dating scene, and wow. Wow, it's so much. It's
Let's talk
overwhelming.
about that. Let's talk about that. So
Okay.
you've been divorced for how long?
Uh Split from the ex a year and a half ago,
Okay.
November 2023. Um Getting through that, I was married to a narcissistic sociopath. And I realized that those are buzzwords these days. Those terms get thrown around. He's now formally clinically diagnosed as a narcissistic sociopath. So it's not a condition that I dreamed up or Googled or anything like that. This man has no remorse for what he put me through, the infidelity, all the classic narcissistic traits, gaslighting, stonewalling, the infidelity, the lies,
How long
just
were you married?
we were together for 5 years. We were
Okay.
only married for a year and a half.
Okay. Okay.
And I found out that infidelity actually started at the very beginning of our relationship. Like it was his classic trait. I just didn't know. So finding out about everything in the arrears, I was actually contacted by two of the women that he was meeting. One of them was on Bumble. He was on a dating site, used an alias. She sent me screenshots, pictures of everything, and I just handed it all off to the lawyer and said, just get me out of this.
I
Um,
got a question. I got a
sure.
question. What was the purpose of her giving you that information? She wanted you to know that
Yeah.
she had stopped dealing with him.
She
And
did.
she
She
just
blocked
wanted
it.
you to know. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Okay. Fair enough. Okay.
Yep. She said, I really thought about telling you or not telling you because I knew what it would do, but at the same time, she thought I deserved to know, and I did. I'm glad
Okay.
she told me. It was at that point that when you're dealing with a narcissist, especially a sociopath like that, it's a very Jekyll and Hyde. So trying to figure out how Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde are the same person, but they're two completely separate personalities. And I was trying to put the man that I loved, that I was determined to spend the rest of my life with. I still love that man. He doesn't exist. It's the Mr. Hyde is the real person that I married. Dr. Jekyll was the mask. I'm in love with a ghost that doesn't actually exist, a facade that he couldn't maintain. And once that mask fell off, he's done the classic, comes back, hey, I'm so sorry, let's try again, I want you back, I love you so much. And I, no, no. And I said, I can't trust you. How do you love someone that you can't trust? And it's been a while. It's been about 3 months, 2 months since the last time he tried. And I'm like, it's coming. It'll happen. He'll be back. So it's just a matter of, I have to hold my ground. I'm not going to put myself in that situation to be abused again. And I know so much more about him and that condition, and that if I were to put myself in that position again, it would be a vicious cycle. I know exactly what to expect, and it would all fall out all over again. So ladies, all I can say, my number one rule in dating is don't date an ex. Never, ever, ever date an ex. They know exactly what you'll tolerate, they know what you'll stand, and they know exactly how to push your buttons before they back off. And you can expect the exact same treatment because history repeats itself. So I've never in the history of ever dated a guy more than once. Once it's finished, there's no nutrition in a relationship that was just toxic. So be done and move on. But as for that, now dating. I have been on Match, and I've been on eHarmony. I've been on Facebook dating, and currently I'm on Tinder, which Tinder's trash. It's trash Tinder. But I had no better luck on Match or eHarmony.
Right.
Uh, in my experience over the last months of, trying to put myself back out there, I'm an introvert, so I don't voluntarily leave my house unless I got a dog. I mean, why would I leave?
I got a TV, so why would I leave?
Exactly. We got Netflix, I got Prime, I got Max, I've got Paramount Plus.
Team introvert.
Yeah, I got all the things. I go to the gym and I rock an RBF so hard. It's just don't fucking talk to me. Um, so dating.
I never bother anybody at the gym. I might look, we're gonna glance, we're gonna look, but somebody would I've literally there have been opportunities to say, hey, how are you? I don't
Yeah.
speak to anybody. I
Okay.
get it, I have my heads. I'm actually I was at the gym before I did this. That's
Oh,
why it
nice.
like took me a minute to get on because I was like I had to shower and get dressed real quick so I can get on. I love it. It's therapy.
Yes.
Um, please continue.
Oh, okay. So,
Dating sites are trash. That's where
dating
you
sites
was.
are absolutely trash. Oh my God. And it just seems like every time I start a conversation, somebody new, hey, how's it going? Do you have big weekend plans? What do you do for work? And it's the same song and dance, and it's so tedious. And I'm not sure why, but within at least a couple of conversations, he's already prompting me for sex. Not even joking. It's within like 2 or 3 conversations, and they're like,
Oh, I know.
tell me what you like. And I was like,
Yeah.
wow, we're not there yet. And as soon as I say, well, I'm really not comfortable talking about that yet, and it's like you can tell them, no, I don't want to talk about sex, and they launch into it anyway. And I, I will tell you what I won't tell a lot of people. Those conversations are what they want to do to me, how they want to do it, what they're going to tie me up with, the spiked and non-spiked things they want to put in every orifice of my body. And I'm like, you have got to be shitting me. You're saying that like out loud and like communicating this. And this is sometimes on the app, sometimes it's moving it to a cell phone conversation, sometimes it's verbally telling me this. And I'm thinking, okay, wait, hold the phone, because I'm super duper not comfortable with this. And like, don't get me wrong, I might be white, but I'm not vanilla. So, I mean, I'm not, I just am like, oh my
Got a
God.
little bitty 50 shades over
I
here, huh?
know, I know. It's like, a little booty tap while you're going, or, a little bit of, you know, masculine, dominance goes a long way. But we're talking like hitting and slapping. We're talking urination and defecation during sex. We're talking like all the toys and all the things, and we're talking fisting in everywhere. And I'm thinking, okay, I haven't even met this person. Like, we don't know each other. Why would you do? And I have already drawn a line that says, I don't want to talk about sex. And they launch into this. And it usually ends with, I'm not okay with any of this. And it was great talking to you. I gotta go. And there's times I was on the phone with one guy and I was like, oh, you know what? My mom is calling. I gotta go. I hung up and I blocked him as soon. I just can't do it. And I thought, there's such a huge number. And I respect it. If you have your fetish, that is cool. I'm not judging the people that are into it. If you're into it, great. But if somebody has their boundary and they verbalize that boundary, that's not something I'm into, stop talking. Because if that's a deal breaker for that guy, for me to be into that, I'm never going to be able to meet that criteria for you. We're done.
How tall are you?
Yeah, how tall am I?
Yeah.
5'5".
You're not even like, I don't know. I'm thinking like maybe you're attracting doms because you're like really, really small, but you're not super small. You're like average height for a woman.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm a 140 fish, size 2. So, I mean, I'm small, but I'm fit, and I
Well,
think
maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's I don't know. It seems like what you're describing, right? It sounds like you're attracting like dominant type
yes.
person. How they want you to be, for a submissive. Are you putting something in your bios that may lead them to believe that you're into
No.
that type of relationship? Like, yeah, I
No.
want you to tie me up and put a like shove stuff in me all day and beat on me. Like, is there something in your bios that's maybe
I'll
no?
read it to you. Here's my Tinder profile. It says, "I'm just a girl looking for someone to walk my dog with me. I'm a mama of 2 grown sons, 26 and 24, and a dog mom to a Danish. I enjoy being outside doing all sorts of things. I work out 5 days a week because I love cooking and baking. You can find me at a skating rink on Wednesday nights. There's an adult skate and I speed skate because I'm former roller derby girl. Shocker, right?
That's actually pretty cool.
My hope is to find someone like-minded who is looking for something real. I'm not interested in short term, let's see where this goes, because this is not a road trip, or those who are figuring it out. So pretty cut and dry, pretty simple. It's straightforward. I'm looking for something long term, something for real. No mention of my sexual preferences. that I want someone to do something bizarre.
Your
It's
s- your sexual, your weird sexual proclivities, like.
oh my God.
I
I
want you to do things to me, like no, no. We're looking as guys, we're predatory, and I know predatory sounds super evil, but um, being a predator just simply means you hunt for your sustenance. And for guys, our sustenance is what's between your thighs. And so we hunt for it and we'll do whatever we have to do. And we look for clues as to what's the best way to go about getting what we want. And most 98, 95 to 98% of men, if we could get what we wanted from you without causing you any pain or distress or discomfort, we would.
yeah.
If we could do a little bit extra, get what we want out of you and not hurt you at all, we would do it. Then you have other guys who, as you know, they get pleasure. They take pleasure in pain, and that's something different. I don't know nothing about that. Like you said, some taps on the ass,
Oh
a little bit
yeah.
of light playful choking, maybe hair
Yeah.
pulling, biting. That's normal stuff,
Of
whatever that
course. Yeah.
means. But the stuff that you were talking about, that's weird. I want to
Oh,
rewind. Go ahead. Were you about to say something?
oh no, I was just gonna tell you
Okay.
there's one guy, I call him Deputy Dog because he's a county deputy south of Bear County, which I live in Bear County in San Antonio. And he was probably the worst about it. Like he was telling me exactly what he was gonna do with me, and I was like, and we're done. Goodbye.
That's that serial killer stuff.
Yeah,
Not into it.
crazy.
I want to rewind. I want to go back a little bit to your narcissistic sociopathic ex-husband.
Yeah.
Um, because I was actually interviewing Dr. Melissa Rosenberg here recently, who actually specializes in trauma recovery, and her husband was a narcissistic sociopath. They were together a while, and I've befriended and mentored a young lady who was in a relationship with a man I believe was a narcissistic sociopath. She was in a relationship with him for like over 20 years.
Oh wow.
So
Mm,
um, I'd like to know, as far as you moved on, you at least you're trying to move on. He's trying to reach
yeah.
out. What steps have you taken to heal and recover from PTSD, anxiety, depression, all this stuff, all the things that could possibly come along with a traumatic relationship?
Well, before I launch into that, I'm gonna go full disclosure. I actually married a narcissistic psychopath the first time,
Mm.
and he was
Oh,
physically abusive. Oh yeah,
oh wow.
he was physically abusive. I was young, I was 19. I was divorced by the time I was 21 and had a baby with this man, and the fallout of that was traumatic. So, recovery from all of that, therapy has been a huge part of my life, which, of course, in this day and age, absolutely everybody needs to be talking to a counselor. We've all got shit that we need to unpack, and you can't drop your drama, your trauma in a potential new partner's lap and just be like, here, this is all the shit that I deal with. You get to help me now. One, that is not fair. And two, you are setting yourself up and them for disaster. Um,
Hmm.
so before you even get to the point where you can date, you should date, go deal with your bullshit. Go deal with whatever part you took. You don't have to take accountability for somebody else's actions against you. I don't take responsibility for him cheating. I don't take responsibility for the first one kicking me in the head. I don't assume responsibility. What I do is take accountability for my characteristics that find toxic men attractive. So I had to identify what it is in myself that is attracted to the type of person who's going to hurt me. And
That's
that's
called
empathy.
accountability,
Yes.
ladies. That's called accountability,
Yeah.
gentlemen. Bravo.
Responsibility for your own shit. So in doing that, I had to say, okay, so I'm an empath, and these toxic people like
Ah,
to prey on people like me who are
pardon me.
sensitive to that.
Right.
So I have emotional barriers that I keep up, and I will tell myself any man that I date, there's going to be, and this sounds really robotic, there's a checklist, and he needs to meet certain criteria. And it's certain things like, has he been to counseling? Has he been divorced and has dealt with issues related to his part in the divorce? Was he responsible for cheating, for abuse, mental or physical? Um, did he lash out? Were there kids involved? What happened to the kids? Did he make sure that the kids were okay? Certain criterias that need to be ticked off. And then another one is, how quickly is this guy going to jump to sex? Uh, I'm I'm gonna be straightforward and say my libido is just fine, but I'm gonna take care of shit on my own until I find a man who is willing to get to know me. He knows what I've been through. He understands that certain behavior isn't going to be tolerated. He's not going to be allowed to get into an argument with me and walk away because he doesn't want to talk about it or because he's wrong, because that's called stonewalling. And that's a classic narcissistic trait. So it's the number one thing I can say is educate yourself. Certain traits, and there's different types of narcissists. There's benign narcissists. Those are your know-it-alls that think they have everything sorted out. They're benign. They're not going to hurt you. They're just irritating. There's a narcissistic sociopath, a narcissistic psychopath, anything that's going to tip you off to physical abuse, zero in on that shit. Anything if I'm also the type of person that if it looks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, I'm no longer going to say, is that a duck? I'm going to look at him and say, why do you have a duck? Be direct. Don't mince words. Don't feel like you are responsible for protecting someone else's feelings if it violates your boundaries. Be very transparent. And I have chased a lot of men off on Tinder just being direct. In healing, I have found being direct is empowering because I don't know this person and I'm not going to pretend to be something that I'm not to try to get them to like me. That's another part of healing. Be yourself. Absolutely be yourself. If they don't like you, they don't like you. That's okay. They're not the person for you. But don't try to water yourself down. And if you're questioning something that seems to be against what you want, ask them to clarify and say, I'm sorry, that's not going to work for me. Be direct and be firm and stick to your boundaries. That's a big part of healing too.
I think one of the biggest issues we have within dating and relationships is number one, something you keyed in on. We meet someone, we decide that we like or want that person. So then we begin to manufacture, we begin to compromise our standards, we begin to compromise, kind of neglect what we're sensing as far as red flags because I like that person, I want them to like me. So now I have to present myself in a certain way instead of just being who you are and like, hey, it is what it is. Like, no matter who you meet, regardless of how great you think they are, either they're for you or they're not. They have to be able. It's kind of like for you ladies, just as an example, it's kind of like if you put on a ton of makeup, not makeup in and of itself. It's not the issue. It's not a problem. But let's say you put on a ton of makeup and then you throw on a bunch of weave and then you put on your stilettos and to make you and now you're taller and you got this bunch of fake hair and the fake eyelashes and the makeup that makes you look different and the clothes that make you, you got your Spanx on so you look slimmer. You want that guy to like you, right?
Yep.
But guess what? You have decided to push an image upon him that is not really actually who you are.
It's
So
catfish.
one day, right, basically, so one day he's gonna see you without the weave and without the makeup and without the Spanx and
Mhm.
or Skims, whatever y'all wear, and without the stilettos, and it's just you. And you basically kind of made him fall for a representation that's not an accurate depiction of who you are. So you can't
Right.
get mad if the feelings change because what you presented initially, based upon what you thought you wanted, wasn't accurate,
Yeah.
right? That's why a lot
Exactly.
of ladies, y'all wonder why we approach you, or we used to anyway, when you're out somewhere with a ponytail, sweats, and a t-shirt, and you think you look ridiculous. And we're like, hey, how you doing? But if we see you like that, and you're attractive to us like that, we know it only gets better from there. So of course we would approach. Um, what type of guys do you like? We know what you don't like. We know what you don't want. What type of guy would you be open to, like, if he approached you on an app, through here, at the mall, where you'd be like, okay, yeah, we can get to know each other.
Oh gosh. That's hard. I don't really have a type per se.
Good.
I think right now I look for somebody that has a similar lifestyle. I've dated a guy rocking a dad bod. Dated a guy that was, somewhat fit. Uh, Married a guy that was 6'5" and overall in pretty decent shape, but was the dad bod and um eh, tall, short. I mean, he's got to be taller than me. That's a prerequisite. I tell people, and I say it laughingly, there's a height limit to ride this ride, and it's about 6 foot. You have to be above the mark. Um,
We all know that. Trust me. Every man on the planet knows that he has to be 6 feet tall to get a date. Believe me, we know.
And I've actually dated guys that were, 5'8", 5'9", and it was fine. I dated one guy for several months, and he was 5'9". And I really actually I liked him. I liked him a lot. We never got to the L word though, because his attachment style is avoidant. And that's one thing I can't do is if you're either an anxious attachment or avoidant. And there are different attachment styles. There's secure, there's anxious, there's avoidant, and I think there's one other, I can't remember what it is. But avoidant attachment is you don't talk about feelings at all. And it leaves the other person feeling bereft, unknown, kind of floating, creates an anxious attachment, which I kind of sit between anxious and secure most of the time. But after that, I was actually, fearful. I was in a fearful avoidant stage, where I was like, I react completely on fact. I do not trust. You can say that you love me, but unless you show me that you love me, I don't believe you.
Right.
It's just that protective mode. Um, but the type of guy that I look for, he's gonna have a similar lifestyle to me. So I eat healthy and I'm a gym junkie. That means that I'm looking for a guy that he doesn't have to be in absolutely perfect shape, but he's got to be physically active. He's got to be willing to at least go to the gym with me. I don't care if he's Adonis. I don't give two shits. I want him to be absolutely head over heels in love with me. Uh, but he's got to be willing to have a similar lifestyle, stay fit, take care of himself, and appreciate that my cooking is typically on the healthier side. Like I'm not gonna make him biscuits and gravy every day because then I'm gonna eat it, and I love that. But my ass doesn't need biscuits and gravy every day.
Right.
So,
Right.
um, I want someone who is secure enough as a man that I can walk into a store and say, I want to try this on. Will you hold my purse? Will you hold my Victoria's Secret bag while I go try this on? Right? And he's not going to be like, "Oh my God, I'm not touching your purse." I want him to be like, "Babe, just give that to me. I'll hold all your shit for you."
Right.
I want him to see me when I look like a disaster, and let's face it, as an introvert, 90% of the time I look homeless. So my hair is up and I'm just like, forget it. I want him to be like, she's a train wreck, but she's my train wreck.
That's right.
Um, for the most part, a guy that has a great relationship with his family, or at least has a logical reason to not like criminal history in their family. He's like, hey, I don't talk to my brother because he's in jail, you know? Well, obviously that doesn't have anything to do with him, and it's a pretty good reason why he doesn't talk to his drug dealing brother.
Right.
Um, I've actually been talking to a guy who has a very similar thing. His sister lives in Mexico because she's evading police. So he talks to her, but they really don't see each other. And I was like, wow, okay, that's pretty good reason. So I also do background checks on absolutely every guy that I date. I use a website called Been Verified, and another one, I think it's, what is it? I forget the name of it, but I do background checks. As soon as a guy gives me his phone number and I know his last name, I'm looking it up. And oh my God, met one guy on Tinder, had a rap sheet that was 20 years long. I was like, oh my God, nope. Everything from drugs, evading police, automobile arson. And I was like, wow, how do I find these people? Oh yeah, Tinder. So it's scary. So I mean, when you are dating somebody, getting to know them, it seems shady, but again, small blonde woman living by myself, my safety is my biggest priority. I need to know who I'm going to meet in a bar, because the last thing I need is the police calling my mom because my ass disappeared. So, you just have to be safe and get to really know somebody before you're willing to meet them somewhere. Don't be like, hey, I know we just met, but let's catch up for a drink. No, not yet. Sorry.
I
Uh,
think that's another one of the biggest issues that we have is an issue with pardon me, low self-esteem, self-worth.
mm,
And we put ourselves in compromising positions, especially some of you ladies. Because for us, it's not as much. Now there are crazy women. I know we say crazy women. There are actually some women out here that have some shit with them.
oh,
And
yeah.
so as guys, we gotta, we have to be mindful of that as well. We're not invincible. But especially as ladies, um, you can sometimes put yourselves in predicaments um, that you wouldn't want your daughters to put themselves in, that you wouldn't want your sister or your friend to put themselves in. But because you don't value yourself, you don't love yourself, you don't think highly enough of yourself, or you're so lonely, you don't want to miss out on what could be an opportunity, um, that you put yourself in compromising positions. What would you say to a young lady that's going through something like that right now?
Um, as someone who has had to really fight with self-esteem issues myself, body dysmorphia, my sister, when we were teenagers, was drop dead gorgeous, and it started a self-confidence issue in myself, that I still fight with. That I'm not good enough, that I'm not pretty enough. I've got this genetic thing with my mouth. It runs on my mom's side of the family. It's just a ligamental deficiency, and the left side of my lip doesn't function the way the right side does. Looked at having plastic surgery and said, I don't want to do it because, like, this is my mom's family legacy, right? I got a set of twin aunts that have it, and I just couldn't do it. And so I'm learning to embrace it, but it does trigger a lot of self-confidence things because it's a flaw that's on my face. And every time I talk, it shows. So And confidence, one thing you have to remember is your mind and your body are valuable. And the pieces of yourself that you give away in relationships, they need to go to someone who's deserving. And I don't care if you are the prettiest girl on the planet or not the prettiest girl on the planet, you are still valuable. I don't care if you've been a hoe for most of your life, and I don't care if you're still a virgin. Your body is a temple and you are valuable. You deserve someone that's going to treat you like an absolute princess. And when I say that, I don't mean that he's going to spoil you rotten and he's going to pay for your rent and he's going to pay for your nails and your hair and all of your bullshit. Ladies, get a job and don't say that you're a strong, independent woman. God, I hate that. Everybody, every man and every woman needs to be a strong and independent individual. Go get a job. Pay for your own shit. It doesn't make you special. It makes you a damn adult. Just you need to feel empowered that you are strong, that you are valuable, that someone deserves what you have to offer, but not everyone deserves what you have to offer. Treat yourself like you are a trophy, and they need to win you. But at the same time, don't be so conceited that you're like, oh, he has to be all of this and treat me. Oh, quit. Sorry.
You're
Hey,
good.
thank you. Um, don't be conceited and say, well, he needs to absolutely no. I'm talking about um the princess treatment is protecting your feelings and looking out for you. He should be a gentleman. And to guys, I will say, please open the door for her, but not just for her, for anybody. And this is the same, women, hold the door for somebody else. It takes zero effort to not be an asshole and just hold the door for somebody that's there. But for guys, in my experience, a man that holds a door for me or actually makes an effort, if I'm reaching for a door handle and he very politely slaps my hand away and opens the door for me, what that tells me is he's going to protect me. It speaks volumes of the gentleman that he is, and that it's not just about the door. It's about him taking care of me, looking out for me, and knowing that he's got my back. His focus is on me, which how I reciprocate with that is when I'm walking next to him, I'm going to slide my hand inside, his elbow, or I'm going to stay close to him and say, I'm here, I'm present, I'm touching you, I'm in the moment, I'm looking at you when you talk to me. It's that respect. Um, so I tell my sons, just open the door. It's very easy and it sets a standard and it lets her know you're watching her and you're taking care of her. You're anticipating her needs, but you're present in the relationship. And I think a lot of men think, well, she can get it herself. Yeah, she sure can.
Not the
But
point.
she also can do a lot of shit without you. And if you're
Yeah.
gonna prove to her that she has to do everything on her own, she's gonna power walk the fuck away from you. So it sets a standard. But that's what I mean by princess treatment is open the door. How does he talk to his mom? How does he talk to his sisters? How does he talk to his kids? Is he a present father? Is he involved? How does he treat animals? How does he treat the wait staff? How a guy treats a cashier is a big deal to me. Um, but when I say princess treatment, if I'm home and I'm standing at the kitchen sink and I'm washing dishes and he comes up behind me and wraps his arms around me, a little kiss on the neck that says, hey, thanks for dinner, thanks for washing up, whatever. It just says, you know thank you, I'm here and I'm present with you. That's what I think of as the princess treatment. It's not necessarily sexual, but it's sensual, and it gets that connection and it keeps it firing. So, um, girls need to know that they deserve to be won. But at the same time, don't be bitchy, don't play hard to get. Um, be open and be receptive, but also be reciprocating of the effort he puts into you. Because if you're not willing to reciprocate, you don't deserve him. So, yeah.
You sound like you're about to start making your tour as a relationship expert out here.
Oh
Some
man.
very, very, very good talking points. I agree with everything you said, 100%.
Yeah, I have been through the ringer. I think I told you this before. I've been married 3 times, and I'm not sure that I'll ever marry again. Um, just because every time I think I got it, I don't. But I'm 46 years old. Um, I married the first time at 19, and I call that my freebie. That was the narcissistic psychopath. Physical abuse. The second time I was married for 10 years, I found out he was cheating 5 months after we got married. He was having sexting conversations, and then he hooked up with an old high school flame during our marriage. I filed for divorce again at 32 and 33, and was divorced again. Uh, Waited about a year, got into a relationship with a guy who was avoidant and alcoholic. Was in a relationship with him for 5.5 years and finally had to call it because, wow, he was snuggling with the ghost of his ex-wife and holding all of her sins against me, and there was nothing I could do about it, and it was miserable. It was depressing for me to know that I had to live up to, live with sins I didn't even commit. So I ended up leaving, moving to Laramie, Wyoming, which, oh my God, Laramie, no. It's so terrible there. Uh, Met contestant number 3, and I absolutely believed he was the love of my life. And I'm not convinced that he isn't, but um, after the narcissistic sociopath experience and infidelity, finding out that he was the reason that I was struggling with bacterial vaginosis on a constant basis because of what he was bringing home to me. Had to see a doctor about that. Fortunately, no STDs, but if you're with more than one partner, BV is common. And I couldn't figure out why I kept having it because, he was the only person I was with. Um, so uh yeah, it's been through a lot, and so many psychological mental health conditions. When the trauma bond shattered, I tried to commit suicide, and I uh took my life into my own hands. Thankfully, God said no. And that was the beginning of my mental health recovery. I started doing research. And when I say research, I just graduated from college with a degree in business and a minor in finance. So I'm a academically very intelligent person. I graduated summa cum laude at 44 years old. And I actually finished first in my class. So sorry, toot my own horn, but I'm not a dumb bunny. Um, I started researching, and I was doing, fresh out of college, scholarly research into narcissistic mental health disorders and what happens to victims that have suffered a broken trauma bond from their abuser, which is the reason I attempted to take my own life. So after that, I was like, I never want to put myself in that position again because the turmoil that I caused, it wasn't Steve's fault. I did that to my son when I made that decision. And I caused such hurt in him. And I have since apologized profusely to my son. He's a police officer, so he's a very strong man. I put him in a position no son deserves. And he said, Mom, I love you. I'm going to get married and I'm going to have babies someday. And my kids need their badass Nana, and you need to be here. You can't leave me. And I felt like an asshole. Here I was hurting, and I felt like an asshole. And he was putting me on the guilt trip I needed to hear. And when things got really, really dark, I had to think about my son telling me, please don't do this to me. So the combination to my med safe is his birthday. So if I got to that point again, I had to actually plug in my son's birthday and make that decision to hurt him on purpose, and I couldn't do it. So the mental health recovery, that journey was empowering, and it wasn't easy. It's been 11 months. It will be a year on April 14th since I made my attempt. God definitely intervened. I went to hospital and the toxicology report was clear. And as I was walking down the beach, and I was talking to God, and I said, I'm sorry. I tried. Oh my God. I was a loving and devoted wife. I'm gonna start bawling. I'm sorry. I was faithful and I was loving. I took care of him. I did all of our business at home. I managed all of our bank accounts. I paid all of our bills. I kept our house. I did all the housekeeping, all the laundry. I did all the cooking, all the grocery shopping. I walked 2 dogs. I did everything for him. I planned his flights. I did everything. All the while, I was giving him the opportunity, the time to cheat on me. And I couldn't make sense of it. And I said, God, I tried. I was the best wife I possibly could be. And I don't understand what I did to deserve this. And I said, I'm coming. I'm coming home. And I just need to stand in my maker's arms. And I need you to hug me and tell me that I tried and I did well. And I just can't do it anymore. And I'm sorry, but I'm tired. And I heard one word in my head. And God doesn't talk to people. He doesn't talk to people. And it was one word, and it was not yelled, but it was loud and it was firm because he had to shout to hear over. I had to hear him over my own turbulent thoughts. And all it was no. And I kind of rocked back and I was like, wait, what? No, no, wait. You don't understand. I'm tired and I don't want to be here and I don't want to do this anymore. And I failed and I can't. God told me no, and I ended up, the police were wonderful. Don't try to do this. Absolutely don't try to do this. This police officer, he walked up to me and he was probably 10 years older than me. And he grabbed me in a big hug and he said, Jay, it's okay, but I can't let you just lay down and fall asleep. I know you want to, but I'm taking you to the hospital. And I got to make sure you're okay because I wouldn't be a good person if I didn't try to take care of you, but it's going to be okay. And I remember thinking, oh my God, I'm so embarrassed. I'm worrying all these people around you. And then, the people pleaser, the empath in me, I'm like, God, I'm such an asshole. Look at all the havoc I've caused. And I felt horrible. And I went to the hospital and toxicology came back clear. Like nothing happened. And the man upstairs intervened. That's the only thing I can think of is I have purpose. I have purpose here. And that drove my research into the different mental health disorders, but also recovery. what uh and this is not exclusive to women, because I've been talking to a really nice man. His name is Jose. Um and he was abused by an ex-wife that would physically attack him. Um and so I know it happens to men. He told me all about his story. But so when I say it's not just women, it's people need to, you need to research what are green flags and what are red flags in relationships. Regardless of your age, I would recommend this to girls that are 14 years old. Um, you need to know what's not acceptable. You deserve to be treated like you're valuable, like you are a trophy, and don't, I mean, whatever your sexual, as you said, sexual proclivities are, if you want a high body count, do it. I'm not judging you. I don't recommend it because, STDs are disgusting. Um, but your body should be the last thing you give away. You can give your time and you can give your energy to someone, but they need to earn anything physical from you. Um, because once you give that physical piece away, you can't get that back. And you can't get time or energy back either, but at least you can wash your hands of it and walk away and say, wow, I dodged a bullet. But sorry, I'm rambling, but I could go on forever. It feels like in this day and age, we need to have a psychology degree to get through relationships. And especially when you get to, Brian, I don't know how young you are. Um, but when
47.
40, oh, you're a year older than me. Okay. So, yeah, once you get to our age, um, it's like shopping at Goodwill for underwear. And you're not going to find something gently used. So, and you're not going to find something brand new. And like I tell people all the time, they're like, well, you need to date somebody younger than you. And I was like, I'm sorry, I don't train children. No, thank you. Um,
Question.
yes.
So, God, I didn't want to stop you when you were telling your story, giving your testimony. I wanted you um to get let that out, and I want to thank you for sharing that. And I know somebody's going to watch this and they're going to cry. I already know. Um, it was beautiful, and I thank God, and I'm so glad you were unsuccessful with your attempt because you realize you have purpose and you have promise,
Yep.
especially over something that you would be pissed at yourself. Like, I let that guy make me do this. You
I
right?
am pissed at
You're the
myself.
type. You're right. You're that type chick. Like, how dare you? How dare I? Over that, over him, over them.
I
And
let
then you
myself
have, like you
down.
said, and I'm sure you did. I hope you've been able to forgive yourself
I
because I'm
have.
sure your son has. Okay, good. Now, what would you say to another individual who is at they're at their breaking point and they don't there was a story, and you never know what's real or not on social media. There was a story. A young lady apparently sent a text to her ex, like, hey, can you get the kids? I'm really tired. I need a break from the kids. Can you get the kids? And then she subsequently, before one of them gets hurt or before something along those lines, I don't have it in front of me. And whatever happened, whatever, the guy didn't get the kids, whatever. She apparently unalived the kids and then unalived herself, right? So people, we've gone through a lot, right? You get to 40s, your 40s and your 50s, and you have been through some stuff. You've been through molestation, you've been through rape, you've been through rape and molestation, you've been through financial crises, you've lost people who you've loved, you've lost your career, heartbreak and heartache. And traumas, whether PTSD for soldiers or for cops or for people in physical abuse. Like, there's just a lot, and people get to their breaking point. What would you say to someone who is at their breaking point right now, that's on the verge of making a forever decision, that based upon what you experienced, what you went through?
I think if someone had come to me at that moment and caught me before I grabbed the bottle, um, I think I would have said, you need to consider the person you can become without this. If I had known that I would evolve into the woman that I am right now, and I'm still growing, I'm still evolving, I'm still getting better and stronger and wiser every day. And there's a difference between knowledge and wisdom. Knowledge is just knowing a lot of things, and wisdom is knowing what to do with that knowledge. So I'm becoming wiser, gaining knowledge and then trying to wield it appropriately. I would say the man I was ready to end my life over, I look at him now and I see him for who he truly is. That man never deserved me. And we were only together for 5 years. Knowing now, I would say there's a man out there, maybe, he's not on Tinder, that's for sure, that's going to look at me and say, holy shit, this woman is bright, she's fit, she's funny, she's salty as fuck, and I have a dry sense of humor, but she's completely comfortable in her skin. Authenticity is probably the most attractive trait to anybody, men and women. And if I had known that my ex-husband was the most inauthentic person I had ever met, I would probably have said, why am I crying over this piece of shit? I don't deserve this, and I can do better. And it doesn't feel like you can do better in the moment, but as a woman who has been in the pitchest of black, dark moments and literally risen like a phoenix from the ashes of, where I was before, to be able to grab her or him and hold them so tight and say, I'm not going to let go of you because I don't want you to let go of yourself. And I need you to see the other side of this. I need you to see what you're going to be like in 6 months. I need you to see what you're going to be like in a year. I need you to see what you're going to be like in a year and a half. And I know it sucks. I know it sucks because I lived through the suck. But do the work. Go to therapy. I don't care if you have to talk to your counselor every day for the first week or two. Do that. It's worth it. Talk to your counselor or find a neighbor that you can sit and talk to for a half hour, 45 minutes, an hour. Or, I did it, call the suicide hotline, talk to somebody. If you're in that moment, The one person you cannot give up on yourself is you. The one person you should never give up on is yourself. Sorry. Um, you are worth fighting for. You are worth putting in the time and the effort and the energy. And the more reading you do, the happier you will be and the easier all of this will become, because all of the things, all of their traits and characteristics will begin to make sense. And once everything makes sense, you have that, oh, I get it now moment. So pour yourself into a book. It can be on Audible unless you like actually flipping pages. But do the research and put the time into yourself and do the healing. Give yourself the time and the space to cry and let it out. Get your ass into a therapist's office or do it virtually. Don't do it alone. If anybody needs an ear, I tell my friends, girl, call me. It's 2 o'clock in the morning. I don't give a shit. I want you to call me. Before you get to that point, I want that phone call. I told both my sons that too. If you get yourself into a point where I expect that phone call, you're not gonna bother me. I know I gotta work in the morning, doesn't matter. I want that phone call. So make sure you set yourself up with a support system and don't hide it. Tell people where you're at in your head. And you're not asking them to share the burden with you, but you are setting a protective system in there, and you'll get people who will check on me. That was one thing that I found out. I had more friends than I ever knew I had. I had people blowing up my phone. I had people stopping by my house. Jay, how are you today? Are you all right? And I still talk to those people all the time. You know, we are fast friends now, and some of them I only kind of sort of knew. But as soon as they found out what I was going through, or, you know, the grapevine started talking, oh my God, did you hear what happened? Because I live South Padre Island, the locals are, it's a small community. The next thing you know, I've got people banging on my door and they're bringing food and they're like, oh my God. And I'd get a big hug and I'm like, whoa, introvert, wait. And they're like, I can't believe it. Glad you're here. Here's a lasagna or here's a pasta or something. I mean, you find out humanity does care and you get faith in humanity again, but you can't say, well, I'm alone. You're not alone. You're not alone. And even if it's just your therapist that you talk to, you're not alone. There's plenty of people out there. Support group, Facebook groups, the Facebook group that we're in together. Oh my God, I get a laugh out of that every day. Ryan is a riot. What
I
is
love Ryan.
what
Ryan
did
is
you
super
say?
funny. He's hilarious.
I'm gonna drive up to Oklahoma and I'm just gonna show up.
He's one of my favorite people in the group. He seems like he would be a super cool guy. I like his personality.
Heck yeah. Well, you know
Well,
what?
judging by the memes and the
Yes.
posts, right? Um,
Tell him we're talking
so
about him.
to sum it up, um, and I'm gonna get you out of here because you got to go. You got some tanning to do to prep for the upcoming spring and summer season. Um, you cannot take the worst part of your life in your mind and use that time to make a decision that will affect everything and everyone around you for forever, right? Because we're gonna have good days, we're gonna have bad days. Tomorrow could be a better day.
Hmm.
Next week could be a better week, but you can't do something so permanent because you think what you're going through, because there's no hope. There's always hope.
Always hope.
There's friends, there's family, there's purpose that you have that you may or may not even realize that you have. We all are born with a purpose. We all have gifts and talents and passions that are meant to use to help us fulfill that purpose that we have in Christ.
Yep.
And this isn't about being a Christian. I don't know what you believe in. I'm a Christian. I don't care anybody listening, watching what you believe. You have purpose, you have value. There's somebody who gives a shit that you're here. There's someone that you can impact. Get all the information you can. You going through trauma, because like Jay said, the more you not that knowledge is power. And you'll have like, oh, that's why he said this. That's why he's trying to manipulate me. That's why he's trying to control me. That's why he did that. He's really deep down insecure. That's why he's doing, and it'll help you make sense. And that power will help shift the balance. And maybe you're in a relationship you haven't been able to get out of yet. But the more you learn, you can build yourself up so that you can walk away. Or maybe you've walked away, but you can't stay gone. The more you learn, it'll help you realize you're really best where you are, and moving forward, getting healthier. There are healthy guys out there that will treat you the way that you deserve to be treated. I'm going to put the number for the suicide hotline in here.
Please do.
Um, there are resources, there's help available. Don't give up. She can make it. She made it through a very difficult time. She almost didn't, but she did by the grace of God. I've been through very, very dark times that I've been able to overcome. We all have our shit. Don't give up. There's hope, there's purpose. You can make it. Um, last thing, Jay, and I really appreciate you. Thank you so much for your time. You have been a blessing and a pleasure. Um, I didn't expect all of this. I honestly didn't, because your personality, you're like, man, fuck these groups, these dating apps, man. This is, and you're just, you know what I mean? And I didn't see this coming. And it's been a pleasure and a blessing, and I'm honored. Um, last thing, we'll get you to your tanning. If there was one thing, one thing to sum everything up, one thing that you wanted to say, to express yourself, to articulate thoughts to men, women, society, whatever, whomever, the one thing that you would want everybody to hear and know about you, or what you think or how you feel, what would it be?
Oh gosh, probably just be true to yourself. Just be be uniquely yourself. Everybody else can literally just piss up a rope. Just be authentic. If you're a freak in the bedroom, cool, but make sure that you find somebody that's into that too, before you just start unloading what you're gonna do to somebody. And I mean, that's a little scary, but be true to yourself. I mean, honestly, girls, it's really not okay to go through a hoe phase, in my opinion. If that's what you need to do to get by, I mean, seriously, you do you. But to me, it seems like giving up on yourself, and you're just getting these fleeting things, but you're not actually healing. You're not actually putting work into yourself. You're just finding short little moments of happiness, instead of actually doing the work on yourself and finding real long lasting happiness, which unfortunately that means a lot of self reflection and a lot of time alone, learning and discovering things that I like, and setting boundaries, and then being able to hold people to those boundaries. But just authenticity. Just love yourself, be authentic, be direct, learn good communication, healthy communication skills, and just as you're out and about in the world with everyone, just be a good human, but be a good communicating human.
It's not selfish to take care of yourself. It's not selfish to put yourself first. Sometimes you have to take a season, and you just have to say, you know what? I'm gonna back from doing this and that for everyone else. And I'm gonna make myself a priority for a bit. Guys, ladies, you can fall back, take a month, 2 months, a few months, a quarter, and just, start eating better.
Yeah,
Sometimes you can't do that when you're out dating. You can't necessarily, it's more difficult. It's easier to do it when you're home.
yeah,
Find a gym that you like, start walking or going to work out, right?
yep,
Get some books, get on YouTube and learn about, this cycle that you were dating, or why you keep attracting these individuals. There's sermons and teachings and different men and women who have gone through some of what Jay has experienced, and pastors and preachers and people who are gifted and anointed to discuss certain topics. And that information can give you knowledge and help you out of a bad situation, and help you get to the next level, towards becoming the person that you're meant to be. And at the end of the day, I think Jay would agree that's what it's about, right? We're all here
yes.
to become who we're meant to be, right?
We all have purpose assigned by God. It's just our job to find it.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Thank you so much for your time. I
Nice to see
appreciate it.
your
It's been
handsome
a
face.
blessing and a
Thank you.
pleasure. The pleasure was mine. You enjoy your your sun bathing, and I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, we'll talk to you later.
All right.
Bye.